Well, I think the basic reason or symptom or proof for the racism of the Christian church is the simple fact that white people have pretended for so long that Jesus was white, and that they've had the necessity to interpret Jesus as being white, when essentially white Christianity is racially, is historically false and theologically absurd, and practically, in terms of its effect on black people, it's a debasing institution that enslaves black people. I think we have to understand, though, that we're not making moral judgments here. Any institution that exists in any society exists to serve the interests of the people who set it up. And Christianity began as a black man's religion. It's an African religion. We have to remember that Israel went into Egypt with 70 people, and after approximately 750 years came out with over 2 million people, and hordes of other slaves who came out and became also part of the emerging new nation of Israel. So Israel, the biblical Israel, was a black nation, an African nation that came out of Africa and kept constant ties with Africa. And so we have to remember then that Jesus was a black Messiah, not a white Messiah, and he comes out of the whole historical background of Africa, of African traditions, of African history, of African culture, the concept of communalism, the concept of a chosen people, the concept of kingdom of God on earth. All these things were out of African tradition, not out of the white man's tradition. And Jesus was essentially a revolutionary Messiah who was trying to lead a black people in a revolt, in a struggle and conflict with a white Gentile oppressor. So the whole church has to be viewed from the point of view of the white oppressor. The white oppressor has one kind of Christianity, has one kind of church. The black church has to become independent and go back to the historic African roots of Christianity, because the slave church that the white man set up for black people tends to continue the enslavement of black people. So the black church has to become, again, a revolutionary instrument in the hands of black people, controlled by black people, fighting, as Jesus fought, for the liberation of black people against white Gentile oppression.
Oh, let me hit you something that might get you hurt when you walk out of our door here. I kind of want to hit the nail between the eyes and talk about Jesus.
All right.
And whether or not, with the studies that you have done, Jesus, as is described in the Judeo-Christian books, did he exist?
You're asking me my opinion or my thought on the historicity of Jesus the Christ?
Both.
Yeah, I might get hit outside, man. I would say there's no physical evidence for that. I used to be a consultant at a church in Los Angeles, and the pastor brought in some information that I'll never forget. One Sunday afternoon, he brought in a list of writers, people like Diodorus Siculus and Strabo and others, Josephus, that lived at the time. I mean, these are world famous writers whose books we still have today, who lived at the time that Jesus is supposed to have lived. And none of them wrote about this man.
He came out of, if you look at his genetic tree, his genealogy, you will find that all of those people in there had been of the family of Hasmon, of the recent, I'd say about the last 10 or 12 of them, of his predecessors, of those he descended from, his ancestors. They were of the family of Hasmon. Hasmon was the great father out of which came the Maccabean family, which made a strike for freedom and got it from the Syrians, who were subjugating them at the time in the year 167 BCE under Judas Maccabeus and his brother John and several others. Judas Maccabeus meaning Judas the Hammer there. And they struck for freedom and established them as an independent nation until the Romans came later and subjugated them there. When there was a fight between one member of the Hasmonean party and the other for power, then they called the Romans in to help. I think it was John Hyrcanus come into power. Or it was either John Hyrcanus or Aristobulus. I forget which one it is. But anyway, one was called against the other. And when the Romans did come in and take control, then they took the power from him as well and gave it to a foreigner, an Idumean, named Herod. So now, Jesus' family line, in terms of as a dynasty, was the Hasmonean dynasty at the time. And their symbol of their household was a panther, a black panther. Now, I got that from the writings of Sir Godfrey Higgins in the book Anacalypsis. And he seems to substantiate it very well, because this panther, black panther symbol went all the way back to ancient Greece. Bacchus, their god of wine and dance and singing, also had a black panther as his symbol. So it was a very popular symbol in the ancient world.
He was born in that part of the world that touches Africa and Asia and Europe. And Jesus was not a white man like me, nor was he as black as some of you. We don't know what the color of his skin, but it must have been a dark color like the people of his day, because he was a man like them. Don't ever say it's a white man's religion or a black man's religion. It's a world religion. He belongs to the world.
And we see Rastafari as a liberationist religion.
It is prophesied that oppression make the wise man mad. And who is madder than my servant? Said the Lord, our God, Rastafari.
The Rastafarian were the only true Afrocentric black people who preach self-reliance, who preach self-confidence.
But we interpret the Bible a different way. Most of these places that they're telling you about in the Bible is in Africa. The Garden of Eden is in Africa. The teaching that we get from the elders then is that we always have to look for a black man as God, for we, somebody that we can identify with.
Christ promised to mankind that he will return within 2,000 years. And then when he returns, he will be the King of Kings through the lineage of King Solomon and King David. Now we look out there to see who is this. One man, Haile Selassie I the First.
Emperor Haile Selassie is the reincarnation of Jesus Christ. He's our God, Rasta God. Rasta said, the purpose of life is to be happy. Everybody's supposed to be happy and live in peace, love, and unity. Yeah, man.
Window seat surfing on the wing. As an adolescent, I dreamed of big things. Climbed to the top of the mountain to see the scene. Petty rap don't want me to have anything. I'm the captain, no jet lag. Boeing jet swag. Floating to the sunset, keep the drinks coming back. She summoned me, gave me turbulence on the sink. Pretty flight attendant boarding pass, I'm a buddy. Stunting first class, vegan meal yummy. Right